It is Monday, September 29th, and we're going to mix it up a little bit with some dating and deconstruction today. All right, my friends, I'm going to thank y'all for this suggestion right here, because we've been talking about deconstruction, we've been talking about dating woes, and every once in a while I do a little intersection where I mention how growing up in sheeple steeple people culture kind of ruined my readiness to be able to date outside of that culture as an adult, and how long it has taken me and is still taking me to figure out how to interact with people in romantic ways separate from everything I was taught growing up in that culture, because it is damaging. You are taught as a woman, as a girl, in those cultures that your entire purpose is to be a submissive, obedient, beautiful incubator and house servant whose main purpose in life is making sure her husband's life is easy and she raises her kids. She doesn't matter. Her happiness doesn't matter. Her health doesn't matter. She just has a list of tasks and jobs and things she's responsible for and persons she's supposed to answer to. You are encouraged to stay in unhealthy relationships. And again, we're doing a lot of overgeneralizing because, sure, there are some more progressive congregations, right? There are some clergy members who have evolved from this and encourage healthy relationships. But we're talking about mass sheeple steeple peopleness, the mass mania you're seeing within that culture, and people trying to understand how it's that bad. Like, how did it fly under the radar? It wasn't under the radar. You just kept choosing not to believe it when those of us who left it kept calling it out and going, no, they're dangerous. Don't let the cross and the flag and the eagle screech fool you. That's a group of narcissists that are all wishing for the day that they get to leave this planet. And in the meantime, they're just harming everything. Anything they claim to be protecting is one of their targets. I'll say it again. Anything and everything they claim to be protecting is one of their targets. Okay? I saw a post the other day that said, did you ever wonder if maybe the reason why we can't find the folks or the youths that are missing is because the people in charge of finding them are in on it? Okay, we live in a country where if you have a kid and you can't provide for it, the government's going to come in and take that kid from you and then pay someone else to raise it for you. They're not going to help you. They're going to take it away from you and give it to someone else. Why? Why would they do that? Why would they do that? Okay, so, and yes, before someone comes in and goes, well, what if they're on drugs? I'm not talking about that level of circumstance. You know what I'm talking about. You know what I'm talking about before you hop in with that stuff. What about? That's not what I'm talking about, and you know it. Okay, so anyway, but back to this being set up to date for marriage and being a pick-me, where nothing of yours is important. None of your satisfaction is important. Nothing of what you do is important. I've told y'all, I used to be a stay-at-home mom. I used to cook breakfast, lunch, and dinner hot for my husband. When he came home, the dinner was hitting the table. My house before I had kids was nothing but white couches and glass tables. Everything was clean. There were fresh baked goods every single day. In fact, I baked so much I would take the extras to his shop, because he was Air Force, to give it to his coworkers, because there was no one to eat it at the house. That's all I did was cook and clean. And I had waited my whole life for this. I was like, I want to be a wife. Like, I was so sure. And when I got to it, I was like, oh, this is, I don't think I like this, or at least not in that arrangement. And like I said, I'm 41 and I'm still kind of figuring out what I'm about, who I like. Some of y'all know that I have like interests outside of men, and I always have, but it was never presented as an option to me. I never even thought of it as an option. Mentally, I was still blocked from even thinking of acting on any of that, because you just don't, you know? So it's only recently that I started going, oh, you know what, actually, I could. There's no one to tell me no. The sky isn't going to split open. You know what I'm saying? It's like there's nothing I can, all right. So that also goes along with the types of relationships. I talk to folks about how romantic love works, as someone who's trying to figure it out separate from faith and religion, right? Because personally, like I said, while I know it's a real thing, I see it more as something that's used as a manipulation tool, talking about romantic love. It exists. It's out there. But in my life, the only time I felt like it was authentic, it was actually someone manipulating me. So I'm a little like, I don't know if I trust it, but I believe in it for the people who come here like, I met my soulmate. Like, I appreciate y'all. I'm not dumping on y'all. I'm talking about me. If I have a soulmate, that person is no longer on this earth or something. They are not here. Oh, or maybe they're just not in this country. Sometimes I think that. I feel like once the kids are old enough and I leave the country, maybe I just have to leave the States to find someone that's not, it's really hard. It's really hard. Especially, yeah, when you step away and you're no longer dating for marriage. And of course, when you're younger, in my 20s, all I wanted was dating for marriage, and all any dude wanted was to just have fun. And now I'm in my 40s, and I'm like, well, I'm good with a relationship. I don't know about like marriage or whatever, but relationship, maybe, if it's within these parameters. I don't know. I'm still figuring out how much commitment I like and how much this, that, and the other. And now, I'm in my early 40s. So now everyone wants to get married because it's all the dudes that are in their mid 40s and 50s, and they need an end of life wife to come in before it's too late, before they lose the last of their hair, before, the junk stops working permanently, like it's on the last. And I'm not like, hey, I'm just saying, I'm just pointing it out. It's how the vibe changes and how there always seems to be this mismatch between what people want and what's available. But yeah, it's this huge problem. Walking through things like, okay, do I want monogamous commitment? Is that even for me? I have a lot of interest in talking to persons who are involved in polyamory. And while I don't fully consider myself poly, I do understand the concept of thinking that it's not reasonable to expect one partner to fulfill all your needs or everything that you would need from someone or want someone. So Now it's the choice of, okay, so is it the trick of finding the 80% you like and the 20% you can live without? Or is it better to say, okay, I can take the 80% from this person and the 20% I'll get over there? I don't mean that in a sneaky way. But I don't like sharing. So, I keep going back and forth. I love talking to couples about it to see what their rules are. When I first started deconstructing, I started working in intimacy and relationships for a little bit, like toys and passion parties and stuff like that. But really, it was because I loved talking to the wives and the couples that were having problems. And most of them came from similar backgrounds as mine. And there was a lot of repression and a lot of, oh, this is an option. And a lot of, oh, I don't have to do that. And a lot of, you know what, I don't like this. I pretended to do this to get the man, but now I'm not really interested in it. Like, I found out how many people are actually closer to asexual or closer to demisexual, but they didn't even know it for themselves, and that's a mismatch because you're not allowed to acknowledge that when your purpose is to be a beautiful incubator and doll for the man you're attached to. You know what I'm saying? So as I watched other women go through it as well, I'm like, okay, I'm not alone, but this is a thing. This is a very big thing where if you try to break out of that, okay, I'm an incubator doll mode, you have to learn on your own. You got to raw dog it out there trying to date secular men who are looking at you crazy when you're like, yeah, I need a title. I remember that. I remember like my first handful of situationships where it just tore through me because I'm like, okay, but I need like titles and boundaries. I need like something, because this is it feels like free falling. You're like, people date like this? Like, oh my gosh, how do you do this? In my culture, if you're not engaged in like 3 months, you just move on. Over here, just casual friends for like 5 years? Who does that? And now I'm in my 40s going, casual friends for 5 years? That actually doesn't sound too bad. I'm still figuring it out. But they don't talk about that. So let me know if you want me to talk about this some more as well, because I got plenty to say on the dating adventures, trying to figure out how to do that when it's no longer fueled by the faith beliefs and the timelines and the titles required for that culture. Y'all let me know, because I can dig in.